Claire Bear.
Hi, Mommy.
We back. So, part 2 of our body acceptance. This time, last Sunday, if you guys missed, Claire interviewed me and my struggles with body image, and I gave 5 tips and tricks to help foster self-acceptance, body acceptance. And now this week, I'm going to do the same for Claire Bear. But also one thing that I wanted to add about last week's episode is that it was more focused on women just because we are 2 girls, but I thought back on a lot of what we talked about is still very pertainable to men as well, but it's just in a different aspect. So obviously men typically aren't too focused on like losing weight, but it's more so like gaining muscle or issues that they might struggle with is like they wish they were taller, or if they have a receding hairline, like they have similar stuff that they're dealing with. It's just different in that aspect. So it can still be useful to men as well. But anyway, today is all about Claire Bear.
Woo!
Yeah.
I know.
So Claire,
this is so vulnerable. I'm feeling nervous.
Yeah, I was low-key nervous on my part. So, Claire Bear.
Yes.
What is your first memory of struggling with body image?
Yeah, so unlike Mani, I think for me, I was pretty young. So I'd say 2nd grade when I started getting involved in ballet and gymnastics specifically. But even before that, kind of like Monica was saying, even though our families, they obviously are close to perfect, as perfect as they can be, we tend to soak in, we're like little sponges when we're young. And like Monica said, even if they don't know, we're listening and soaking in how they're acting. Kids are very receptive. And I was extremely receptive to somebody in my family's insecurities. And my mom, for instance, she has always been very, very, say self-conscious more than anything, but just hyper aware of what other people think and our appearance. I mean, Mia, Elle, and I, my sisters, we had blush put on us at the age of 3. She would always be like, "Oh, girls, you're just looking a little pale today." And we'd have like contours. We always joke that she started the contour trend. And she also, even I read her diary, which was really interesting. She kept it from when she was in middle school. And in her diary to her teacher, it said verbatim, "I'm looking a little fluffy this year, but don't worry, I'll change it." And she was just a child, like 6th grade. So I think for me, I soaked it all in and I started having body image issues very young.
Do you have any like specific examples of your struggles with body image issues?
Yes, for sure. So even in ballet, I've always just had more of a curvy body compared to the other girls in my ballet class. I've always just had thighs. I have a very small waist, but it kind of makes my butt look kind of big. And so the teacher would always be trying to like straighten me out. She'd like push on my chest and like push on my butt to stand straight. And my body was not shaped like a ballerina. I couldn't do it. So I would sob in the parking lot before I had to go in. I would fake sick. My mom would always just say, "Claire, you don't have to continue on with ballet if you don't want to, but you have to finish out this like semester or whatever." So I was miserable in ballet, and then I thought I would really like gymnastics, but my body image issues actually, I don't know, I think that was a big part in why I stopped wanting to go, because at competitions, you would be doing an event and you were the only person out there, and I would be so embarrassed of my legs that I would walk so awkwardly. We have home videos of it. I'd walk out on the mat and I'd like try and hide my legs. And so at the end of the competition or the gymnastics meet, when we'd get called up for our ribbons or trophies, when my name was called, I would get so nervous to walk up there that I would like run up, I'd hide my legs. So all the pictures we have of me holding up like my ribbons, And my mom would always be like, Claire, why are you standing like that in all the photos? At the time, I don't think I knew really how to explain it because I didn't even know why I was feeling that way. So that was second grade, sixth grade. I think I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but I also was the girl who would wear in middle school like shorts and a t-shirt if we would go to the water parks and the Dells for our field trips, which led me in to high school already just going in having all of these insecurities. It's not that, and I don't want this to come off as like conceited or rude, but they would always compliment my beauty and I could not see it for myself. I would literally be like, what is this person talking about? I'd look in the mirror and I'd be so ashamed of how curvy my body was because at the time I just didn't know how to embrace it. So that led me in to kind of my later years of high school where that's when I started realizing, wow, if I cut back on calories and start counting them very closely, I can actually lose this weight and my butt can go away. I would go to the gym in the morning. And I do have good memories of this too. My dad would pick me up after high school and we'd go to the gym together, which I don't think I realized how like sick I was in the head for going before school started and then right after school. But yeah, I started like Monica was saying with her story. When you get results, you kind of get a high from it. It gets you in this really dangerous cycle because I lose the weight. I realize, wow, okay, this is not obtainable. I can't keep doing this. And then I let go of the control and I just binge. That was always my cycle. Restrict, restrict, restrict. And then I'd have like a binge where I'd gain all the weight back. I'd be so unhappy with myself because I just put so much pressure on myself to look a certain way. And Monty, I think too, just the high school that we went to, where it was just very competitive on all fronts, whether you were in Broadway company or sports or school, everything was very competitive and perfection was definitely strived for. It just kind of multiplied my issues that I already had. I think I gained a little bit of confidence in college in some way because you kind of find your niche, but I still was restricting. I would download apps to calculate all my calories that I was eating, and then I would binge and gain weight. And so that was always kind of what I did.
Definitely relate to that. And I had the same mindset of like you get down to a certain weight and then people compliment you, and like the best compliment that you could have given me was, oh my gosh, you look so thin, or have you lost weight? My ego loved that. And then it was just a cycle of never enough. I would get to what I would consider like my ideal weight, and then it'd be like, okay, now 5 more pounds. And it's just like this never ending thing of not enough mentality. So yeah, I definitely relate to that.
The last two examples that I'd say that really stick in my mind. In hindsight, when I look back, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so wrapped up in this world of trying to be thin. So the first one was in college. It was my grandma's, one of her surprise birthday parties, my sister's. We were taking photos beforehand, and I asked if I could see the photo, and they were like, yeah. So huge. Granted, at this point, I was probably the skinniest I've ever been in my life. I had just a total panic attack. And if you know me, you know that I come from a large family. We're always together, and big events like that, I like live for them. So the fact that I wouldn't even go in the restaurant, I literally sat in the car and sobbed for like 2.5 hours. And my parents just didn't even really know what to do. They were just like, she's being dramatic. What's going on with Claire? Obviously, they were concerned, but in my mind, I made it such a big deal that I physically made myself sick. I just could not. And after that photo was taken, I don't think I was in a photo for over a year after that because I just refused to, I didn't want to see it.
Break your heart now looking back and like knowing that you felt that way?
Yes, knowing that literally my body appearance made me miss my grandma's surprise party. What the hell? It's so weird when I look back on it now that I'm evolved but when you're in it, it's debilitating. So that led me into being in a really not a great relationship. And I found myself binge eating a lot. I'd go to Trader Joe's, buy all the snacks, and I would eat till I would get sick every night. Now it was getting to the point where it was actually affecting my health. Being diabetic, the amount of carbs I was eating, I was waking up so high I would get sick. I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And I think at the time it was just because it was kind of my way of coping with whatever was going on in my personal life. That year in college, I was going through a lot in my personal life, family issues and just a lot of changes. So now when I look back, I'm realizing, oh, like it makes sense. But in the moment, I was so lost. I just eat and eat and eat. I'd find my happiness in food. And it led me to going into ketoacidosis. I ended up in the hospital for the second time in 4 years. Moni, you came to visit me.
I remember that.
In the
Yeah.
hospital. She was my bestie.
Yeah.
She came to see me. I was like a hot mess. Yeah.
You looked so thin there.
Because I had been eating, but my blood sugar was so high. So it was just like all the fat was just disappearing on my body. And so that was a big wake up call. And I think I did touch on this one in the last episode too. I was supposed to go to Hawaii that next day, and I just made myself so sick that I couldn't even go on my trip. So those were probably the two biggest moments for me when I realized that my body image was actually causing collateral damage in all aspects of my life. Like I wasn't going to my classes. I ended up in the hospital. I wasn't very fun to be around. I wouldn't go out to eat with friends.
So relatable, because I would also, like, friends in college would be like, hey, we're gonna go out to dinner. Like, you want to come? No. Like, I wanted to come to like hang out with them, but I didn't want to eat. And I didn't want to eat thing that I considered bad. Or they'd be like, hey, we're gonna run to Dairy Queen and get like ice cream. Like, I would just like restrict myself so much on everything. And even like going out and drinking, like I was just so hyper aware of, oh, alcohol has so many calories in it. I'm gonna drink like a vodka water, and just
Right.
I was just definitely I like missed out on a lot of stuff because of body image stuff also.
I know. And it's, like you said, now looking back, you're like, what was I thinking? Why would I ever do that? And that's a big reason why Moni and I wanted to talk about this vulnerable shit, because literally if we can help somebody else avoid missing out on fun, even if it's for a freaking night, like just have fun and live it up. If it's in high school, oh my gosh, you're babies. That is when I feel like this really kind of hits home to a lot of young girls. And just know that you don't have to go through this.
Don't make our mistakes.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. Or even my crazy workout schedule, like I would prioritize my workout over everything. And like looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? That was not necessary. Like I would have way rather spent time with friends or like doing an activity versus me literally like missing out on so many things because I have to like work out for 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
Which is just like so unnecessary.
Oh, that's so true. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up my examples. I have many, many more. But those ones that I touched on, I think were the most vivid in my mind and the ones that I really thought affected me.
All right. Next question, Claire Bear. What advice would you give to somebody that is struggling with body image?
My first pointer would be get busy with something that makes you really happy that has nothing to do with your outer appearance. For me, I found that when I had a lot of time on my hands and I just wasn't happy in my overall life, that's when I really started to just try and get control, and I would put that focus on my outer appearance. I found that I was really happy doing something that I really liked to do and was just busy with other things. Yeah, I didn't really have as much time to focus on something as little as what the scale said or what my skin looked like or what my hair looked like. So just find what makes you happy and follow that, because I think there's a big correlation between food and overall happiness. My second point is, Moni touched on this too. I think this is a huge one. just being grateful for the body that you have. The comparison is the thief of joy, and it's so true. We are our own worst critics, and when we have other people that we're looking at that are all touched up, their photos are not really themselves. They're these just made up, they're basically fake, not real humans. It can be so easy then to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, why am I not like that? So don't compare and be grateful for the skin that you're in, as hard as it is. Think of it on a different level. Your skin holds in all your organs. Your arms are there for you to hug people. Your legs carry you from A to B. Look at each part of your body in a different way and be grateful for its function, not just for its appearance, because that's what really keeps us going.
Yeah, that was so cute.
Well, it's so true. It's like, it's so easy to look at the fat on your arms rather than think about all the good things you can do with your hands and your arms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I turn to too. And Mani, I think you shared that quote with me on Facebook a long time ago, or you sent me this like long, pretty article on being grateful for the function of our body. And it really stuck with me. So that's why it's my number 2. And then my third point is, I think it's really important to getting to the root of the problem of what is making you either restrict calories or overeat. At least for me, I found that when I've been very unhappy or I felt out of control in my life, I was going through a lot, that's when I was restricting food and trying to gain control that way. I don't know, getting to the root of a lot of our problems is what also heals a lot of our issues. So overall, just eat in moderation. I know it's hard because life is hard. It gets stressful. We can live unconsciously where we're just shoveling things in without even thinking about it. Life is so much better when you don't feel sick from eating too much and when you don't feel hungry. Listen to your body. Have fun in life. Don't do what Mani and I did and restrict yourself led to us missing out on really fun things. Don't track every single calorie that you put in your body. It's not worth it. And like Mani said, if you are going to work out because it makes you feel good, not because you're trying to achieve a look. And don't get me wrong, we all, like, I love to look nice. And there's a certain, I shouldn't say an exact weight, but I definitely know when I feel best in my body. And now I've learned to go by how I feel and not by a number on a scale.
No, those are great. Those
Okay.
are super great.
So that wraps up episode number 6 for us. And we hope you take these tips and tricks with you, carry them with you throughout your day. Don't do what we did, learn from us.
Yeah, learn from us. Just really don't be so hard on yourself. We can just be our own worst critics and shift that focus into being grateful for the body that you have. If you have 2 legs to walk on, you are so blessed. If you have all your extremities, all your senses, like so many people in the world don't have that, love your body and love your stomach. And even if you don't, like, you can learn to love it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us again this Sunday. And we're so grateful to have you here with us on our journey. So if you related to any of this, or if any of this was helpful, or if you know anybody that's struggling with body image, send it to a friend. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you guys can tune in every Sunday. Join us on our journey.
Have a great day.
See you next week.
See you next week.